Hey, good morning, everybody. Hopefully you're having a good Friday. It is a gorgeous day here in Austin, Texas. Although it does look like we might get a little bit of rain. But anyway, very busy week. Kind of a shortened week as well, too, with it being Good Friday. It's kind of quiet here around the office. I actually gave the staff off today. I guess it's a kind of a mixed reaction about people out there. Some people are working, some people aren't, some people taking it off. I'm in the office working because last night we had our Note Mastermind Draft. And what that is when we have our Note Mastermind, I get lists sent to me. I can reach out to my asset managers, hedge funds. They send me different lists for our mastermind to bid on. And I then give, we make a combined list, different tabs, and they give them to the mastermind members. And they go home and spend 4 to 5 days of breaking down due diligence, looking at the assets, identifying ones that they would like. Now, it could totally be a total cluster if I let them bid and fight against each other. Now, what we do, though, before we leave, is we draw ducks, or we draw something. We've always done something different every time. So, like, you can see some numbers written on the bottom. That's got number 16 on it. This one's number 23. These are a couple ducks that are left over from a previous draft. But we do something fun every time, whether it's tiki torches, or coffee cups, or rolling dice. Just do something fun to get everybody interested. So we had everybody, I went basically alphabetized the list, and if you and your spouse are there, you get to draw once. If you're there by yourself, you get to draw once, make it fair. And so we put 1 through 60, 1 through 50 of ducks in the actual box there, and they come through, and we start with the A, and then we go to the Z, and we flip back and forth there, and they reach in the box, and they draw a duck. Well, whatever number they get is their gift. Now, they have the opportunity to throw another duck, chuck a duck, we call it, into the box. If they make it, they can draw again and see if they can get a lower number. And so now, when they draw this, is like the lottery balls at the NBA draft. It's also like the draft at the NFL. So, the other thing, it gives me a nice draft order for your 1 through 40. If you're at 40, don't worry about it. You start first the second round and work your way down. So, last night from 5 to 7, we had the draft. They've had, 4 days of breaking down due diligence, looking at assets. All in total, I didn't count the number of assets bid on, but it was basically in total funding amount, it's $1.235 million in bids, which is pretty substantial. Literally closer to, I think, about 100 assets, if I remember correctly from basically looking at things. So that's always exciting. We go through, some people make 2 bids, they're 2 rounds, and then they're out. Some had 20 bids because they had done their due diligence and broken down assets, and some others. Some people just didn't bid, and that's completely fine. I know a few people are like, oh, I've seen a couple of these tapes, and I'm not bidding, I'm good. Or there's nothing on these tapes I really enjoy. I've got enough from other outside sources. We're good. And that's completely fair. That's a good thing. So that's exciting. I spent this morning, I was here last night getting everything organized, getting finalized bids in, and sent out this morning to hedge fund managers to let them know, hey, here's some bids for you to take a look at. Now that's on top of literally another 3.7 million in bids we have out on another massive tape from Blackstone Company on some assets. So we're pretty excited about that. A lot of deals flying around here and making some things happen. One other thing too is always interesting. We do this virtually, so we had people literally bidding on the bus. Cody Cox, yes, you were bidding on the bus as you were going from your office to your car. We had people in South Korea. Lynn Mitchell is an airline pilot, so him and his wife were in South Korea, literally about 10 miles south of North Korea, just south of the DMZ, submitting bids in on assets. So that was interesting. We use a thing called Zoom. Some of you are familiar with that. So it was literally a webinar. They could jump in. I'd ask them questions. They'd have their bids. Let me know what it is. Some of the tapes had already predetermined bids. Reserve price, so it made it very easy for people to realize, boom, here you go. Here's your bid. Can't really budge on that much. If the numbers don't make sense, don't bid on it, go to something else. It's more of a free-for-all. So pretty exciting about that. We always try to force people to make bids. I was really excited to see some very new people get some bids in, which is exciting. I think they'll get a couple bids that were submitted. So what happens now? Well, we get the bids in submitted today. Hopefully Monday, Tuesday, we'll have counters or accepts. We'll go to contract by Wednesday or Thursday, and they'll be either closing by next Friday or the following week as well to knock out some stuff for them. So Preferably, they'll be closing by the 27th, so we can wrap up the month that way, and I can fly to Puerto Rico to go on a cruise. So, anyway, that's it. But today's topic is about investor expectations or deal flow. And I want to thank Marcus from Vegas, who asked a question yesterday about what happens when you've got a deal stabilized, either performing or it turns into a rental, or you've got something you're working through and your investor wants to cash out. If you'd like to find more information about our mastermind, you can go to weclosenotes.com and sign in. You'll see one of the 3 bots. Click on join more about the mastermind. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, going back to Marcus's from Vegas question, what do you do when a deal stabilizes and the investor wants to either keep the property or basically cash out of the deal? And there's a couple variety of ways to do it. Usually your joint venture agreement is going to outline a 12 to 18 month cycle for the deal. Once it comes to that 12 month, you got to start having a conversation about what are you going to do with the deal. And I've had a few people ask me this question. It's actually very, very simple. If you think about this, you guys have a goal usually with the asset. And yes, we know it can go a couple ways. One, it can become reperforming, non-performing, cash or keys, which then turns into a deed in lieu. You short sell, get cash in. You foreclose, sell it off that way, or you keep it as rental. So there's really 2 things that happen long term that run into this. One, it turns into a great rental, you keep it for a long term, or it turns into a reperforming note that you hold for cash flow. Now, if the investor doesn't want to cash out, but they want to cash you out of the deal, it's okay. Or you want to cash the investor out of the deal. It's kind of the same thing. So let's go the route of it being a reperforming note. All right. Now, if you bought this reperforming note, say at 50%, okay, and it's now turned into a reperforming note that's been 12 months of seasoning behind it, you got great cash flow, you're probably splitting cash flow along the way, all right, or you're paying an investor a flat rate. Now, if you're paying an investor a flat rate, they're usually not going to have the right to step in and do that. So it's more of an equity, equity split is what you're doing. So it's been performing on time for 12 months. You should be able to sell that note somewhere between 70 and 85% of value. And by value, if the value of the asset is less than the UPB, you go off of that. If the UPB is less than the value, you go off the UPB, because that's really all you're entitled to, okay? So what you do, if you bought it at, say, 50 and you're selling it at 85, well, a normal split, if you were to sell that note off, is that you'd sell it at 85, pay back the investor their 50, and then you're splitting that 35%. So in this case, all you would have your investor do is write you a check for 17.5% of that, of the total amount. Or, 50% of that difference between 50 and then a new value of 85, okay? That's a big thing. Now, it turns into a rental, a long-term rental, same thing. What can you sell a turnkey rental for? Well, probably 85, 90% of value. Obviously, you deduct the investment costs minus any repair costs. You're splitting cash flow or rental stuff, and do the same thing. Cash yourself out. If you're selling it at 85, 90, and you're in at, say, 60, well, there's 20%. Your investor could write you a 10 or 15% check to you, so you can take that cash and move on, or you could buy your investor out the same way and move on. Usually, though, if you've got investor, you would want to basically give them their investment plus the profit if you're bringing in your own money. Okay. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that sharing there. I appreciate Greg and Jennifer. Even though you guys aren't at work, you're around here this morning. I feel so blessed. I got such a great staff. So, but those are some of the common ways that you're going to cash an investor out. You can do it in lump sums. You could break it up in one chunk. It's just a conversation, literally, with your funding and JV partners. Any questions out there about the aspect of there? Okay? Just kind of comments up there. So what's exciting is we go back to the draft that we just wrapped up last night. There's some people bid on 2 assets, some people bid on 1, some people had extra bids after we went through 2 or 3 rounds where people were flaking off. They're like, well, I got 12 more bids. So what we did with that is like, well, if you got 12 more bids and only like 3 more people, have the 3 people that are still left bidding, I had them send me their bids in lumps, in chunk. And then I went through and fortunate for me, none of them crossed over except for 1 asset had already been bid on earlier. So And like I said, when somebody draws a duck and they bid on an asset, it's that theirs. Nobody else can bid on it. Not even if they want to bid higher. What they can do is, if the acceptance and counters come back and the bank counters back, or the hedge fund counters back higher than what the original bidder wants to bid at, then they can either transfer that deal to the new investor, investor or mastermind member B, if they want to take that asset over and go from there. So we have that happen sometimes. Sometimes we have people that are bidding on love the same asset, and so what they do is, let's say investor A drew the asset, investor B wanted that asset. We have people that will joint venture together. They'll work together to help take that asset down and make things possible for it. So that happens quite often. We also have people in the mastermind that just want to fund deals. So they're literally watching. They're not looking at bidding. They're looking at funding good deals that come across. We have that happen. We've got somebody who's brand new who's a little nervous. So what he did is he partnered up with somebody else who's more experienced in the mastermind and is giving his draft picks to that person, and they're working on these assets together. He's got some money, but he's a little green when it comes to breaking down due diligence and identifying things. So he's partnering with people to make things happen. So it's always exciting that way. I love seeing people work together. The true spirit of co-opetition out there making things happen. Now, we really focus on people getting bids in, submitting offers, because that's really where you have the most amount of growth, is going from where you're just watching stuff to the point where you're actually doing stuff. Watching is like learning and watching people do stuff. That's great, but if you're pulling, you got to pull the trigger at some point. You know, heard the whole ready, aim, fire. A lot of people ready, aim, and they never pull the trigger. Well, I'm a bigger advocate. Hey, you got to fire at some point. You're going to learn more between the time you made the offers and your first deals, when you got money on the line, or you've got JV money on the line, you're breaking stuff down and go from there. So I have to give a big shout out to a couple people, David Arcizo, and also our Greg Arcizo with Second Chance Lending. You guys sent a great email blast out this week, and you've raised capital talking about your deals. David did a great job yesterday on a Facebook Live, short 2-minute video talking about what they're doing, and exchanged some great text message back and forth how they've raised some private capital from investors the last couple of days, just sharing their story, sharing some of the deals that they're focused on, and they're breaking down. So excited about that as well. That's always a really, really great thing. So, guys, have any other questions? Any other comments for this Good Friday? Anything we can do to make things better for you? We are at 685 registrants for Note Camp, which kicks off in 6 days. 685. I'm blown away by that. Now it's a process of us getting most of those people to fill out a survey so we have a better feel for what's going on. We've had to expand our technology capabilities a little bit here to handle that amount, which is not a big deal. Just simply upgrading some of our our systems. Pretty easy to do. Just really, really excited. 685 registrants for Note Camp. So we're pretty stoked about that. Looking forward to that. We've got the schedule done. I'm waiting on one person to send me a topic, and hopefully they'll have it to me today so I can get that to Nicole, and Nicole can work her magic with a virtual camp guide. Our counselors, our 33 plus counselors are excited. We got some marketing going out. Opportunity, guys, get signed up. If you're not signed up for Note Camp already, you are going to miss out on some great stuff. So check us out at notecamp.live. You're going to miss out on great stuff. Heck, where else you can be able to add 685 plus investors to your database on Sunday? That's a huge opportunity for you to make some things happen. It's a great database right there alone. Makes it worth the price of admission. I got some other goodies. Usually we give away 1 or 2 spots to the Note Mastermind group during Note Camp. So that's an opportunity for you guys as well. If you're interested, there's some things that you can do throughout the weekend and really make things special for you. All righty. If there's no other questions, well then I'm going to let you guys go and have a good Friday on Good Friday. I'm going to be spending here working for the most part. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a holler here in the office. I'll probably make it a little bit lighter day because it's probably a lighter day out there for most people. So have a great Easter weekend. If you do anything, spend a little time with your family, pick the phone call. Oh, that's a good point, Nicole. 685 possible JV partners. possible funding partners, possible deal flow, possible people to buy your assets from. Exactly. So with it being Easter weekend, have a good time this weekend. Be safe. What is the date of the next mastermind? Good question, Laura. The next mastermind is going to be the first weekend of August. August 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's going to be in Cape Coral, Florida. Yeah, the Westin Resort. We're going back to the Westin in Cape Coral. It's one of my favorite spots. It's a very laid back, quiet, very moderately priced resort. Really excited about that. Steph's already signed off on the stuff with that. So we're, as far as all the reservations, we'll, as far as rooms with that stuff too, we're pretty excited. August 4th, 5th, and 6th in Cape Coral, Florida. You'll have to fly into Fort Myers. It's about a 45-minute drive over from Fort Myers to the place, but it's great out right on the beach. South Florida is a great area. August, it's better than being here in Austin where it would be freaking hot. I mean, it'll be hot in South Florida, but you'll be on the water. They've got a place. We'll be having margaritas down by the Naughty Mermaid Bar and twinkling our toes in the water there during the afternoon. So it's going to be a good time. For those that want to go to the mastermind, you've got to sign up first for a fast track. It's going to be fine, Lauren. It's not a problem at all. Our next fast tracks, our next 3 days fast track training here in Austin are May 12th, 13th, and 14th. Okay? 12th, 13th, and 14th. And then we have one in June, the 23rd, 24th, 25th. And then we have a weekend in July, should be the 21st. No, it should be the, hang on here, sorry. 14th, 15th, and 16th in July. So 14th, 15th, and 16th in July for the next 3 months of fast track weekends. All right? So hope you all have a great weekend. Go make something happen. If you'd like to get more information, get signed up for the Note Mastermind, drop me an email at scott@weclosenotes.com or opt in on the website, and myself or somebody from the office will be giving you a phone call to chat with you. So have a great weekend, everybody. Happy Easter. God bless you all, and see you all at the top. Bye, everybody.